Hi everyone, welcome back to our channel. This is Asim. Hope you are all doing well and keeping safe with your loved ones. So as you would have already read the title, in this video I am going to help you set up your whole recon setup, which would be totally free, and that would help you do a lot of recon stuff that you would usually do, like finding subdomains and then doing port scanning, finding low hanging bugs like using nuclei, and also taking screenshots of that. So all these could be automated and also run in a free manner. Apart from that, it could also run automatically every day in a fixed time, like as a cron job or as a daily job that you would do. And then after the scan has been run, you could also send a notification to your Slack or Telegram or Discord server. So I would be showing it with the Discord server, but it's the same with Slack or Telegram as well. So stay with me till the end, and this is not a clickbait video. I would help you set up manually each step by step. I would take you from very scratch, like what's recon, and then I would slowly build up how we are going to build this and what are different technologies that you are using. So it's very easy. If you know how to edit text files and stuff, you could easily set this up. There's no advanced expertise required here. So make sure you set this up through the weekend and send me screenshots on Twitter after you have this up and running. So if you're new to this channel, I'm Asim and I make videos on hacking concepts, and then I also show the practical exploitability using some labs. So usually my videos are like, first I talk about the theoretical aspect of the video, like of the vulnerability. So let's say if I'm talking about SQL injection, so I would first explain the theory of it and the background as to how and why that's happening. Then I would show you a live demo on labs so that you could also practice it after watching the video. And then I try to show a report on the same vulnerability class. So this would help you if you are new into the application security domain, be it mobile application or web application security. So it would help you build your basics with that. So there are a few playlists around that. So there's this Be The HACR playlist and there's a bug bounty playlist. So if you haven't checked those out, make sure you do that, because these would help you get an understanding and build your foundation strong, on which you could, once you read reports and you do stuff yourself, you would be pretty confident that you are doing it in the right way. All these playlists are ongoing, so I'll be obviously adding more videos onto it. I have playlists on specific concepts as well. Like recently I started with the OAuth vulnerability class. So there are a few things that needs to be talked about there, and dedicating a whole video onto that would be rushing it a lot. So I thought, let's split into different parts. So that's fun. I started an Android hacking series sometime back. There's a few videos pending into that. I would look into it and I would surely continue with that. There's videos that's coming up on DevSecOps. So people who are trying to come or become a security engineer, or who want to see, or people ask me what work you do, so that would be on around that. So it's kind of the blue team work that you would have heard. It's fairly challenging and operational. So yeah, I would try to bring on some people also who are industry leaders who could talk around that. So yeah, that's the whole plan. So yeah, if you like the channel, make sure to subscribe it, share it to people, and hopefully we get some 10k subscribers this year. That's it. There's a feedback form as well. So earlier I used to talk about it. I forgot talking about it. So the link for the form is in the description. So if you want to give a feedback or how the video quality is, whether it has been improved from previous or not, what are different things that could be improved. Like I got a very nice feedback on from some person on the comment itself. So if you're not comfortable with filling the form, you could straight away comment in the video description as well. Sorry. In the video's comment, you could add the comment as well as to what different things that needs to be improved. Before we start the video, one last thing. There's this Telegram group of Hacking Simplified. So I usually read a lot about hacking, and it's not just bug bounty. It could be about hardware hacking. It could be about game hacking. Like recently, I was reading about game hacking. So that's that, and I find new research. So people who like do some research or do find new vulnerabilities or new class of vulnerabilities, or there could be the same SQL injection, but that could have been exploited in a maybe a new fashion, or in something that people consider it as out of the box. So I try to once I get those kinds of reports or blog posts, I try to send it on the Telegram channel itself. So yeah, if you haven't onboarded that ship, make sure to check that out. There's around 800 people there. Hopefully we get 2000 people by the end of this year. So that would be a great thing there. With that said, and a lot of promotion done, let's start with this. So first, let's talk about the outline of this video. So I would start with the very basic, what's recon and why we need to do that. So some of the people might not be very sure recon comprises of what all different things. So I'll talk about that. Then I would talk about GitHub and what are GitHub Actions. So if you don't know what is GitHub, stay with me. You could easily understand. There's nothing hard or there's nothing complicated about that. Further, I would also show you how to set up your own GitHub Actions, because we would be setting this up using GitHub Actions, and I would show how this whole recon setup works in that. It's very easy. You just have to edit a YAML or a text file, and I would also show you how you could modify it to suit your needs if you want to add a new tool into that or replace a tool into that. So all those could be done very easily, just editing a text file, nothing else. So let's start. What, why, and how. So what's recon? So finding outline or online footprints of a company is recon. So finding subdomains or IP addresses or their network boxes, anything you find, those are all recon. You could also find code bases or maybe let's say screenshots or presentations of the slides. So all these comprises of recon. Now the second is why. So why do we need to do this recon? So we do this to expand our attack surface. So let's say a company, let's say it's apple.com, and they say that all their whatever you find, and if that belongs to Apple, and if you find a bug into that, they would reward you. But they obviously don't explicitly give you their let's say 1 lakh devices or the IP address of their 1 lakh devices and the subdomains, right? So that would be straight away handing you the whole platter. So what they do is they just give the scope that apple.com or anything that belongs to Apple. So now it's your task as a bug bounty hunter or as a security researcher to figure out what different entities Apple own and whether it's vulnerable or not. So the more you figure out, the more wider area you have, the more chances are that you get a bug on that. Because obviously apple.com or google.com, these are battle hardened targets, right? People are testing it right, left and center. It has been tested for over 10-15 years, right? So those are battle hardened targets, and it's difficult to find anything on those, and that's why people try to enlarge the scope using this recon techniques. Now let's talk about how do we do this. So traditionally people have been setting up their VPS or even their own servers. I was seeing a talk by, I think it was Today's New on Naham's channel, and there I saw that he mentioned that he has his own server setup. But I mean, that might be a bit too expensive for most of the people. So what people do is they get a DigitalOcean server or maybe an AWS server, and then they start they download the tools on that, and then they run those tools from those server, because they usually have higher bandwidth and you could keep them running for 24 hours for the whole month, and just paying a mere $5 or $5 is the least. I think $5 is like that. So, and you also get free credits using referral code, so you could use mine or anyone else's. Mine referral code is in the description, so you could use that. The problem with this is that most of the time it is underutilized. So let's say you are doing subdomain scanning, or you have the whole recon setup, and you have this target apple.com. You have got this box for a month, and at max it would be running for let's say 2 or 3 days if you are doing a one-time scan of a very huge target. After that it would be still staying idle and you won't be doing anything. So either you shut down the box and pay only for the 2 or 3 days that you have used it, but the catch here is that all your tools get removed, and then again once you are doing a new setup you have to set that all again. For that, a person made Axiom, which helps which takes a backup of all this, and it's very fast to create the same thing, replicate it using the command line, so you don't have to go to the DigitalOcean droplet and do that manual click thing, click and then do. So it's fairly fast, and the most promising thing is the backup thing, because you could take the backup very fast and then spin that instance again with the same configuration and with the same options or config files that you had earlier. So I made a video on Axiom also, you could check that out. So the problem with this is that it's not regular. It cannot be run as a timely job. Like, let's say if you want to do a scan of apple.com or github.com every night. So every night if you want to delete this box after it's done. So what you would have to do is every time you want to start the scan, you need to be on your terminal and then you need to run this command to set this box. After this, all the scan has been done, you also need to delete this box. That also you need to be present on your terminal. So that's one thing. It's not a fully automated setup. You have to do some manual intervention, and that's the main reason people just leave the box up and running, because that's the cost that's being spent is not as uncomfortable as the manual thing or manual intervention that they have to do again and again. So now came GitHub Actions. It is free to use with your GitHub account, and it is a continuous cron job. So you could set a timer and you could just run those tools automatically. You could save all the results of the scan onto your GitHub repository, which you could download and see whenever you feel like. Whenever you have the time, you download the repository from yourself and then look into it. So now you might be concerned that since it's being stored on my repo, so other people could also see like my scanned results. So let's say if I have a private bug bounty invite and I'm scanning their subdomains or I'm taking the screenshots, so other people could also look into it, right? So that's not the case. You could create private repositories. I would show you how you would do that. And using that, you could like go and save the results in a private repo so that other people cannot access that. Now let's talk about GitHub Actions, because I am pretty sure a lot of you would be confused. Hey, Asim, what's this GitHub Actions thing and what's that? So GitHub Actions is nothing hi-fi. Let me first give you a textbook definition of it. So it helps in automate, customize and execute a software development workflows right into your repository with GitHub Actions. It's a CI/CD into your code, that is continuous integration and continuous development. What this essentially means is that you can create a set of command, execute a command step by step, one after the other, and you could also set a timer or you could set a trigger. On the basis of that trigger, it would automatically start running and execute those set of commands. And that's what we do in our recon setup as well, right? So if you remember my script from the recon thing, or if you would have watched any of the recon videos, you would have seen that there are multiple steps, like the flowchart that I created on my recon video. So there are multiple steps, and these steps have a particular binary or a particular command running to do a particular task. Let's say you are running nuclei to get the low hanging bugs, or you are running nmap to scan for ports on the particular URLs that you have found. So basically you could use this GitHub Actions for the very same thing. So imagine you pass a domain on a text file, and this whole flow automatically gets triggered. It scans for the subdomains, it finds valid subdomains, it runs HTTPX to find the subdomains that are up, it gets the title of those pages. It also sends this to Aquatone to take the screenshot of this, and simultaneously, or maybe sequentially rather, it sends it to Nabu to port scan the top 100 or 1000 ports, and then it sends it to Nuclei to get the low hanging bugs. All this is compiled into a folder and is saved to your report so that you could look into it in some later time. So you might think that this all looks a bit complicated and it might involve a lot of things. If not, at least it would definitely involve some money to be paid, right? But hold yourself, there's nothing involved, there's no price to be paid, and all this is as easy as editing a text file. Literally, it's editing a text file. So this is the blog by Project Discovery, where they talked about the GitHub Actions that they created, and I've just cloned or forked their repo because that's what they suggested to do. And I've added my own step there, which is the Aquatone one, which wasn't in their original GitHub Actions. So I also needed to do this because I usually like to have screenshots of the recon that I have done. So that's it. So this is the repo. And if you see what are the advantages, so these are some of the pros that they have mentioned, and I have already talked about it. This one I didn't talk about it. So this is native Git diff support. So that this diff support is that, let's say you found some new subdomains. So because these are all added into your Git repository, so you could just take a look diff of the previous commit and the new commit. So commit are once you push this all these files into a repository. So Git what it does is it keeps a record of the data that has been pushed to the repo. So if a new data has been pushed, it can show you a difference of the previous data and the current data. So let's say there are 10 new subdomains that were found. So you could easily see in the diff area, and it could highlight it in a green format. So you could see that, okay, these are the new subdomains that have been found. So maybe I should try looking into this one. So let's start with the setup of this. I have a different GitHub account here, and this is the public repository from where you could set this up. This is a fork of original PD Actions by Project Discovery. I have added Aquatone stage that, and also set up the notify thing. Apart from that, almost all is same. So what you have to do is you go to this URL. I would add the link in the description. Follow these instructions. So first you need to create a private repo here. Let me say this repository name is, let's say, PD Actions, private one, because I don't want other people to know which bug bounty programs I'm scanning on. So yeah. Now execute the below commands to make sure update username with your GitHub username. So let me do this, git clone and paste it here. So this is cloning a bare repository. This is not the actual repository. So just wait and watch. And git push mirror pd actions.git. So here just change the username to yours. And because the repo name is again PD Actions, the private repo, so it would remain the same. Ashray go PD Actions. So once I do this, so there was some issue with my GitHub login. I sorted it out, and now if I refresh this page, you would see that the repo has been cloned here, and you could see 16 minutes ago, and the whole thing is here. Now we can like safely close this one, and we only need to work on this. So make sure you have this repo locally as well. So again, do git clone and just copy this URL. If you're doing it through SSH, you can do the same thing here. So that's quite easy to do. Now I have this repo here. Let me, oh, I accidentally copied it here. Let me move it outside. So I can remove this pd actions.git. I don't require that. Now I am only, yeah, code pd. So code is for opening it in VS Code. So let me close this. So these are the files that you need to work with. I would open it here. Domains.txt contains the domain that you want to like scan for, and yeah, I think that's only that. So if I show you the changes that I have done with previous revision. So I've added this Aquatone stage, as you could see, set up Chromium and Aquatone. So these are some of the commands that need to run to set up Aquatone and install Chromium and then run that. I've used this shell dev Aquatone and not the Michael Crenson, the name, sorry, I pronounced it wrong, but the original Aquatone. I've used this because the screenshots are not being saved using the original author's Aquatone. So I've used this one. I've installed GAU because I felt that I could gather more subdomains using that, and that's the command that's being run here. Cat input domains.txt GAU-b and this, and then I'm sorting these found out subdomains, because there's this subfinder which is trying to find the subdomains, and then there's this GAU which is also finding subdomains. So I need to have a sorted list of all the subdomains which has only unique names. So that's why I'm doing this sorting here. Then this list is being passed to DNSX to validate the active subdomains, which these active subdomains are being passed to Nabu for port scanning. You could change the parameters here to run it as you want. So these are basically, each of these are steps. The other change that I have done is to take screenshots. I have installed Aquatone and set up it here. Also this notification thing. So in the earlier thing, it was this commented out, as you could see here. I have added this notification using Notify, which is the tool that Project Discovery has already installed in the previous step. And then I'm sending a eco scan completed notify on my Discord server. Here I've added this because I need to have this output folder on my GitHub repo as well. And then here you could add your email or username. You could add anything that's just a marker that gets on the commit itself. Yeah, that's it. Very minimal changes, so you don't need to change a lot of things here. So if you want, you could add your own steps, your own tools here. Just like, let's say if you want to run, let's say ls or something, right? So what you would do is, let me close this one. So yeah. So what you would do is, let's say you want to copy this, and after whichever command you want to run it. So let's say you want to run it in the end. So let's say you want to run an ls command. So what you would do is, you would just remove this, and so running ls command. You could type anything, just listing out files, etc., anything like that. So here you could add multiple commands as well. Like, let's say you want to see what is the date, and you want to see the current ID. So all these you could add one by one. So it's like a bash shell where it is running. It's actually a bash shell that is running. So this GitHub action VPS would run these commands in a sequence. So after I've done that, you just need to go to this repository of yours. So this is my repository. Go to this actions. There you would find this PD actions. You just click on this, run workflow, and you would be good to go. Your workflow should have started here. And the domain that you had it here in this domains.txt, that would be scanned for all these things. So if you go to this build, the job is still running. While it's starting, let me show you what are different steps that happen. So this is the action workflow. So first, okay, yeah, I think it's fine here. So first, the domain is being echoed to subfinder to find the subdomains. Subfinder then passes it to DNSX to filter out the valid DNS records or the records which are up. Then there's this port enumeration on these using Nabu, and which is being again passed to HTTPX to find out the HTTP servers. Eventually it is being passed to Nuclei to check for the local CVs that's available in the repository. And when all is done, a notification is being sent using Notify on any of the platforms like Slack, Telegram, Discord. Like in my case, I've shown you the Discord thing. So yeah, that's it. It's fairly straightforward, not a difficult thing to do. And if you could see here, see this setup job stage has been done, checkout repo, setup Golang, setup Chromium and Aquatone is being running. I think it's almost done as well. So these are all different stages. So every name is a stage and that's being run there. So now you might have a question that, Asim, but you told me that this could be run automatically. How do I do that? So that's also straightforward. You just need to uncomment this, and let me indent it properly. So this cron is a kind of a runner that does scheduling of jobs on Linux systems, and the same goes for this. So this particular time is, let me show you how you could figure that out. So there's this site called crontab.guru, and you just go and paste this cron, cron time format here, and it would show you what's the frequency of that's running. So this is basically saying that at every day, at 00 minutes, 00 hours, you need to run it for every day or every month and every year, like every day of the week. So basically at midnight every day it would run this job. Let me show you some other examples to understand it better. So let's say if you want to run, let's say every day at 1 AM. So 0, 1, and these are all stars. Let's say if you want to run it for every 6 hours. So what you would do is keep it as star and then put it as 6. Let's say 6. So past every 6th hour. If you want to run it for every 3 hours, you could do it as this every 3rd hour. If you want to run it at every hour, so you could add this. So every hour it would start running. So we don't want that high frequency. We want it to run daily. So you could do this. You could just like do this, uncomment this and indent it properly. Go to the command prompt, PD actions, git commit. GST is the short form for git status. You might not find it in your command prompt. So what you do is git status, git commit -am updated cron. You could write any message, that's not very necessary. Git push origin main. Or if you are uncomfortable with using this, so what you could do is you could come to this page, your own GitHub workflow thing, go to PD actions YAML. You could straight away edit it from here itself. So let's say you want to change this one, right? So let's say you want to run it every 5 hours, *5. Let's say you want to add any other steps here. I would suggest don't edit directly here. Copy this to a VS Code file. YAML. And here, because here you could see the indentation properly. Because if the indentation is not proper, it would not run. The PD actions won't run. So it's better that you copy it in a VS Code, any other IDE that you use. Don't use Notepad. So any other Notepad++ or Sublime Text, and make changes from here. So as I told you, copy this whole segment here and paste it here. So if you now edit it, it would be fine. And once again, if you are not comfortable with command line, go here and then paste it here. After you have done, you could do a start commit, whatever changes, like added double command. Commit directly to the main branch would add it there. So you can do this. Let's say I do commit changes. So added double command you could see here. And if you go down here, you could see that sorting is double. So added double command. So that's how you could edit it if you don't have a command line or you are not comfortable with that. Same goes for the input file. Same goes for the input file domains.txt. You could edit the file from here and add whatever domains you want. So let's say if you want to also scan for github.com, you want to scan for yahoo.com. Beware, this would take a lot of time because Yahoo is a huge subdomain. It has a huge number of subdomains. You could do commit changes and it would add these here. So next time it would run this each and for all of these scans, and it would save it in the particular in the output directory. So a few things that I think you would like to change is that you would want SubFinder to run for scans which require API keys. As you could see, it ran only for 5 seconds. That's because there were no API keys added here. So you could go to the config folder. There's the SubFinder config. You could see the sources and all these things are there. So you could add your keys here in the way the SubFinder requires it to. Also, for notify, you need to do a few things. So this is the notify config, and you could see that I have disabled Slack and Telegram. So if you want to send notification to Slack or Telegram, you just need to change this false to true and set these variables, whatever there is, like Telegram chat ID or Telegram API key. For Discord, what I've done is I've set Discord to true. This Discord avatar needs to be there, otherwise it won't work. Discord username and this webhook. So all these instructions as to how you could create that is already mentioned on notify's page. So these are all the options that's there, and Slack notification, Discord notification, how you could send this. So let me show you my Discord here. While it's getting open, let me show you. So yeah, here are the references as to how you could create webhooks for this. So if you want to set up Slack with Notify, you could do that. How to set up for Discord, how to set it up for Telegram. So let me show. So this is the Recon server that I have, and there's this channel called GitHub PD Actions, and you could see this Recon PD bot. So these are all the test things that I was doing, and on 9th May, send a message here. So yeah, once it gets completed, it automatically sends me the message that scan is completed. So that is setup here, scan completed thing. You could also echo things like if there's a new subdomain found, so you could set that up in that way that it could send you a list of the new subdomains that it has found. So that's easy. You just need to tinker with this file and understand it a bit how it works. Now the moment of truth as to when to use a VPS and when to use a GitHub Actions. So as you could see, GitHub Actions has like the limitation only being that it has 2000 free minutes, but even that's like you could also bypass that if you are using it on a public repository. But the downside of using it in a public repository is that like your data would be exposed to any person who is scanning or who is looking into your repository. So that won't be the thing that you would want. Whereas with VPS, you could have it running for the whole month and pay only $5 or maybe $7, $10, something that like whatever the configuration that you chose for. In that, you could have multiple scans running and regularly, like every hour, every 2 hours, you could have that. Because if you run, like let's say if you run this scan for an hour, like for Apple subdomain, with Apple domain without any subfinder configurations, very limited number of subdomains, I still had to run it for around 1 hour. So this is the successful run for this. And you could see 58 minutes it was running for apple.com. So let's say if you have domains which run for an hour, and even if you run it for 20 days, it would still, like if you run it for 30 days, you would have 1800 minutes. But if you increase the load even with one more domain, or if you want to increase the frequency with let's say twice in a day, so even then it would easily bypass that 2000 minutes limit. So that would be a limitation. It's good for people who are testing it out for the first time, or they are doing it just recon parallelly and they don't require it consistently. So for the probable use case would be for people who are doing pen testing for their clients and they don't require it continuously. So they do this. So they start running this recon parallelly and they explore the application while they are at it. So second use case could be for people who don't have a VPS and they are not very comfortable with setting it up. So I have a video on how you could do that, but still it could be a daunting task. So for them, they could just edit the text file and then get on with it. So they would get a basic recon and they would get the whole recon. So that's it. I think if you have learned something, make sure you press the subscribe button, like the channel, and also don't forget to press the bell icon so that you don't miss out any awesome videos that I make. And yeah, a lot of effort has been put into this. Hope you enjoy this, and make sure once you set this up, shoot me or post on Twitter and tag me that okay, you have finally set this up. That would be really great if this video helped you in setting this up. Thanks a lot. Stay safe, stay happy.